Hello, this is astrologer coach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming new moon in 26 degrees of Aries, which will be exact on April 15th at 9:57 p.m. in the evening in New York, East Coast Daylight Savings Time, or on April 16th at 2:57 a.m. British summer time, which is London time. Now, this is a beginning of a new moon cycle, as always, a new moon, right? And anything brand new that starts in the next 2 weeks has a chance of getting a really great start. Now, as always with the new moon videos, I'll be talking about setting some powerful intentions for the next 28 days. And I'll give you the best and most potent time to do so towards the end of this video. So definitely stay tuned. And so let's talk about this new moon first. So the new moon in fast-paced, enthusiastic, courageous Aries is asking us to connect to our personal goals and to get very clear on what we want to create for the next 28 days. Now, this could be a really action-packed energy with the focus on ourselves. And we tend to do first and think later very often with the Aries energy. So we have a tremendous amount of energy and we want to sprint, we want to go fast. Now, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, it therefore represents new beginnings, initiations, breaking new ground, bringing forth new forms and things. Anything that's about birthing something new is connected to the Aries energy. Now, the Aries new moon is especially fertile time for seeding new projects and directions. So definitely stay tuned for the best and most potent time to set our intentions this month until the end of the video, right? Very important this time around. Now, we generally don't know what will happen when we start something brand new. And so this is where the courage comes in. And if we have never done something before, that can also bring up insecurities. It can bring up nervousness. It can sometimes maybe even bring up plain fear or panic, right? So depending on who you are and how you deal with new things, brand new things, something can get stirred up for when something new happens, right? Now, Aries is ruled by Mars, or Mars and Aries sort of like belong to each other in terms of energies. And so they both have developed courage, which is not about fearlessness, but it is about making a conscious choice to act in spite of fear. And it's what we may also refer to as the warrior energy, right? And so one of the many ways we can demonstrate courage is to allow ourselves to be in a state of not knowing, or you can also call it beginner's mind, right? Just have sort of like a beginner's mindset. And so at these times where we're more present, and sometimes there is also sort of like, because we're more present, there can be a much stronger potential for something creative to take place, because we're not planning anything, we're not judging anything, we're just present and we're allowing something new to spring forth, right? And so that can be a very creative place to be in. So Aries is also a very creative energy. So what you want to ask yourself with this new moon, what might come forth if I suspend my opinions, beliefs, judgments, and concepts just for a moment here and there? So within the next 28 days, right? What might happen if you suspend your opinions, beliefs, judgments, and concepts just for a moment here and there? And also, you could ask yourself, could I be brave enough to take a rest from needing to know just for right now? And this is something you can ask yourself on a daily basis if you like. You know, could I be brave enough to take a rest from needing to know just for right now? Great question. It's going to be very, very helpful for the next 28 days, I promise you. Now, with all my questions, you can meditate on them, journal on them. You can just keep them in the back of your mind throughout the next 28 days. And if you want to have access to the questions from this video in writing, because you want to use them for meditations or for journaling or anything like that. Everyone who is a member on my online community on my website at astrologercoach.com gets access to these questions in writing, for each month. And you just, if you're already a member, you can access that via the Your Content tab on your membership portal or the blog page. Just make sure that you're logged into your membership account. This is very important. If you're not logged into your membership account, you won't have access. But if you are logged in, you will have access. Okay, so just please always be aware if you're logged in or not. But even if you're on a different device, right? Sometimes you might be logging in from the phone or the computer, and you have to log into each one of your devices in order to have access. Now, if you're not yet a site member on my new online community, and you want to have access to these questions, then feel free to join us. The most basic monthly membership right now is still available for the price of a cappuccino. This will be available for a limited time only, so take advantage now. And you can do so via my website at astrologercoach.com, either from the homepage or the membership page on my website. All right. Now back to the new moon. Mars is an important energy in this new moon chart because it rules Aries, right? So Mars is currently in Capricorn, and it's making a sextile to Neptune in Pisces. Now, this aspect asks us to create a solid relationship with our long-term ambitions while allowing for our own inner divinity, source or God, to guide us towards what feels intuitively right to us. So really tapping into the energy field of things, the sensing, the more intuitive field of things, and to be able to feel into what feels right in the moment, so we can go after that, and so that we can manifest that with the Mars energy in Capricorn, right? And so it also has to do with a message about relating to our long-term goals in a really loving and kind manner. And this is very important because very often when we have long-term goals and we have certain ambitions towards something, we sometimes get a little bit, sometimes it can create some tension, sometimes it can create some harshness, even to ourselves, right? So this aspect invites us to create sort of like a more loving and kind approach, and this more of a softening approach towards those long-term goals, and releasing any rigid shoulds that we might have, right? Or any obligations that we think we have that are not in alignment with our highest calling, right? So it's really important to see the higher arc of this, and to see that, through the intuitiveness that we bring to our long-term goals, we can kind of soften our approach. We can be more present. We can be more in the here and now. And being in the here and now is very important to Capricorn and to Pisces, because Capricorn doesn't want to miss anything, doesn't want to screw anything up, right? Capricorn. And Pisces wants to allow for space, wants to allow for universal love, wants to allow for connecting, right? So both of these energies, very much, that's what they have in common. They want to be very present. So in the same spirit, we're also asked to slow down, right? And focus on quality over quantity, sustainability over novelty, ease over force, right? So it's important that even though we have this Aries new moon, we want to make sure that we're allowing for quality and sustainability and for ease within all of that. So questions you can ask yourself here: what structures might support my emotional, intuitive well-being over the next 28 days? And what actions could connect my ambitious self with my soul self, so with the more intuitive part of me, right? So Mars also makes some other aspects in this new moon chart, which I think are important to talk about. It aligns with Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn. So this combo really brings our our long-term business dealings into deep and sharp focus, right? And so especially when it comes to manifesting something real, something tangible, something that's sustainable, something that's meaningful to us, right? Out there in the world, and so on. Also, anything that is dysfunctional within our businesses, because we have Pluto in Capricorn there as well, which is conjuncting with Mars. Anything that's dysfunctional within our businesses, anything that's dysfunctional within our governments, or with our long-term goals, we're now invited to investigate and dig a little bit deeper and look at that and see what needs to be transformed or what needs to be eliminated, right? Anything that is no longer in alignment with our soul's passion, with our soul's path, right? Purpose, soul's purpose. And, our soul's passion is anything that aligns with us feeling fully alive and fully empowered from within, right? It's like a very strong sense of like, yes, I can do life. Yes, I want to do this in life, right? I want to build this. I want to do this long term. That's the highest expression of Pluto in Capricorn, right? And so as you can see, this is really for our highest good to tap into this transformational energy of Pluto on an individual and on a collective level. Very important. Now here you can ask yourself, if I felt fully empowered from within and felt absolutely passionate about life, what would I go about building? What would I do? What would I build out there in the world if that was so? Right? And what would be truly meaningful to my soul in the long run? What would be truly meaningful to my soul in the long run? And just remember, the soul is our highest potential. It is the energy that resides within us, that was there before we even spoke, before we could think, before we could walk, right? It's the part of us that's always there, and it will remain to be there even when we're long gone, right? So it's important to remember what would be truly meaningful to my soul in the long run, in the long haul, right? Now, the new moon also aligns with Uranus in Aries. So this is also an important aspect here with this new moon chart. And this new moon Aries conjunction makes a square with Pluto and Mars in Capricorn. So we have a challenging aspect here between the new moon and Uranus and Pluto and Mars in Capricorn. And Mars also being the ruler of Aries, right? So it's kind of a complex combination here, right? So what does that mean? Now, this particular aspect underlines the message that we're ready to take the next step on our path, that we're ready to stretch ourselves, we're ready to grow in some way, individually, collectively, right? Uranus symbols the desire for freedom, equality, and most of all, progress. So we're ready for some progress here. And, we've been sort of like moving with this Uranus square Pluto thing since 2010, 2011, right? 2012, like that's kind of when it started to build. And it's been going on for quite a long time. And it's kind of paced off. But whenever there's a planet that kind of like triggers that again, like Mars with this new moon chart, we're feeling this energy again of like, whoa, something needs to shift. Something needs to move more forward in our lives, individually and collectively, right? And so it really takes courage, right, to leave familiar territory. And we can see that out there in the world, with governments, with institutions. It's hard for the masses to shift, right? It's difficult for people to step out of what feels familiar or what feels traditional to them, right? So we really want to ask ourselves, what is the next step on my journey towards becoming an ever stronger, healthy individual, one who knows themselves and is not afraid to go after their personal goals and desires? And this is a very big, loaded, beautiful, big question. But I want to invite you to kind of play with that question. If that question resonates with you, and by the way, this is true for all of my questions, right? Like any of the questions, if they resonate with you, play with them. They're just, the questions are there to support you with the energies of this month, right? If the question doesn't resonate with you, then just skip to another one. You don't have to go into all of them, right? Now, let's pose that question again. What is the next step on my journey towards becoming an ever stronger, healthy individual, one who knows themselves and is not afraid to go after their personal goals and desires? And what if it were possible to accomplish all of that while staying focused on my long-term achievements? Because as you can see, there's sort of like there's like what's here now for me that needs to shift and change. But then there's also that part, that the Capricorn part, which is also about your long-term achievements, right? And what might that look like? What might it look like to be able to do both, right? To really step into this individual place, but also consider what needs to happen long-term, not just with us individually, but also globally, collectively speaking, right? So this alignment between Uranus and the new moon really asks us to break away from anything that is keeping us from stepping up our game and whatever is keeping us in a rut, right? Because there's still little parts of us that are still kind of like lingering behind, that are still trying to hold on to what we know or what we've known up until now. And we're not really quite ready yet to make this complete shift. And we can see that on a collective level, right? We can see that we're not quite ready yet to jump forward, right? But this new moon is really going to give us another nudge, right? Give us another opportunity to kind of take a look at that and see, well, what is keeping me personally in this rut? And it's also very important to take responsibility for our own personal place, energetic place, and place where we're at right now. Because, you know, it always starts with us, right? With the me. It starts with me, and then it's sort of like a ripple effect that grows out, right? So we can see, of course, that shifts have been happening for quite a while, and they're still happening. They're just happening in a little bit of a different way right now because there's more undercurrent that is coming to the surface. There's more of the darker undercurrent that's coming to the surface. So now we're getting to see some of the goo, you know, we're getting to see some of the stuff we haven't been wanting to take a look at, right? And it's coming up. So it's really time to develop some courage and awareness here by taking a look at what is going on here, right? And you can ask yourself, where do I want to step up, right? And where do I want to break out in my life? And how can I make a big leap? And where would I most like to land, right? If I took that big leap, where could I land? And could I surprise myself once a day for the next 28 days? And that's just an invitation, right? It's just an invitation for this new moon cycle, for these next 28 days. So just see, can you surprise yourself just once a day? And just see how you can kind of like step out of that fearful place and step more into courage and bravery and just do something that you haven't done before, or experiment with something that's new. Now, Pluto, which is part of this square here, is also stationing at the time of the new moon because it's preparing to go retrograde. And whenever a planet stations, they're more exalted, right? And so this also brings a little bit more intensity to this process that's going on right now. And it is a process, right? We're definitely in a process of trying to shift out of the old and shifting into the new, right? And so Pluto shows us where we give our power away to others and where we abuse our power with others, right? So that those are the two places where Pluto kind of gives us more awareness. So you can ask yourself with this station phase, what structures no longer empower me? What am I most aware of right now? And if I'm really honest with myself, what will almost inevitably break down over the long haul simply because it is no longer sustainable? Whether that's in my life personally or whether that's out there in the world. But we want to really try to focus mainly on our own lives, because it's so easy to focus on what's wrong out there. But we have to also acknowledge that our own energy and our own being in the world makes a shift happen. It's like a drop of water that is part of the whole pool, part of the whole ocean, and it creates a ripple effect. Each one of us creates a ripple effect, right? Now, the other thing we can talk about here with this new moon chart is Mercury, because Mercury has been retrograde in Aries for the past 3 weeks and has been guiding us to reevaluate our thinking about our personal goals and about how we want to move things forward, right? So we've been kind of turning our wheels internally with this Mercury retrograde in Aries. And Mercury retrograde really directs us to deal with unfinished businesses around past and present dealings, but also also helps us acknowledge what we've learned and be thankful for the growth we've experienced, and to therefore help us move forward, right? Because we don't want to hold on to shit. We want to make sure that we're able to, move forward in a way that is like a clean slate, right? So Mercury in Aries is all about beginner's mind, right? It's all about being open, eager, willing to be surprised. And the fewer preconceptions we have, the more possibilities we see, and the path widens as we walk it when we can do that, right? So this placement also reminds us that communication is something that starts within our own mind, right? And that our inner dialogue is the seed for all outer communication. And so therefore it invites us to, during the Mercury retrograde phase, we've really been invited to take a look at that inner dialogue, right? Now, Mercury will be moving direct on the day of the new moon, right? So on April 15th, it's starting to move forward again, giving the green light to anything that was in like a holding pattern for the past 3 to 6 weeks, right? Because the 3 weeks was the Mercury retrograde, and the 3 weeks before then was Mercury in its shadow, right? So those 3 to 6 weeks, Mercury has sort of like been a little bit inside of like needing to mull things over and redo and rethink, right? So now that it's direct on April 15th, going direct, we can kind of start to move some of these things forward. That said, I should also mention that anything that started out or developed from scratch during the Mercury retrograde phase is something that we probably want to maybe still wait on until the shadow phase of Mercury is over, which is May 3rd. And feel free to read on my website about the shadow phases and the Mercury retrograde phases. I have an article on that on my website, so feel free to read about that. Now, we're also cautioned not to be hasty because Mercury is still making a square to Saturn in Capricorn. So as Mercury is making that square, it's just the message here is take it steady. Don't try to move too fast. So you can ask yourself, what benefits might I reap from taking it one step at a time right now? And from not rushing things, right? What benefits might I reap from that? And we'll be dealing with a lot of stations this month, right? Month of April is like Mercury stationing, Saturn is stationing, Pluto is stationing, right? And station phases, really create a lot of awareness around these particular energies that are stationing. And when a planet is preparing to go retrograde, these station phases prepare us to gain inner clarity and connect to the energy from within more intuitively. So there's a preparation of like, look at this energy and look to see what you need to work with for the next several months when this planet is retrograde. So in this case, that's Saturn and Pluto, right? Because both of these planets are right now preparing to go retrograde. And then on the other hand, when a planet goes direct and it's stationing, like Mercury right now, right? That means that after a retrograde phase, the station really prepares us to take a look at what is going on with this energy that needs to move forward, right? So we're getting the awareness around that. Now, just talking about Saturn going retrograde, that will happen on April 17th. So really only 2 days after the new moon becomes exact at 9 degrees of Capricorn, right? And it's going to go retrograde until September 6th, and then, starting to move forward again. And Saturn in Capricorn really exposes the consequences of our long-term ambitions. Everything that we do, everything that we work towards, that we build, right? We're getting to see with Saturn in Capricorn, what are the consequences, good or bad, right? Because consequences are not just bad or just good. It's just basically the repercussions of whatever we have done, right? So if we're building something, if we're seeding something, Saturn will let us know eventually, was that working for us or wasn't it working for us, right? So Saturn always calls us to become our own authority, our own judge of what works, what doesn't work, what's true, what's not true, what's useful, especially long term, right? Because it's all about time. It's all about building something long term. And so this can be very different from, what society tells us or other authority figures out there tell us, or what our country tells us, does work or is useful, right? So when Saturn is retrograde, that gives us the chance to kind of tap into our own authority and check to see, well, what is true for me? And so while we're on the subject, that Saturn and Pluto retrograde and that station phase, we did cover that in considerable detail in our last monthly forecasting forum. And so if you want to take a look at that and see how that's impacting you personally as this is currently going on, feel free to purchase the video of our last webinar. And in order to purchase that, you can go to my website at astrologercoach.com and just go to where it says services on my website. And if you hold the cursor on that services tab, you will see a tab that says webinars, and you can click there and you can purchase this there. Now, there's also a special offer linked to this recording. So for those of you who are interested, if you sign up for my next forum by April 17th, if you sign up for that, that will include the Saturn-Pluto station retrograde webinar for free. So basically, you're going to get 2 webinars for the price of 1. That's the special offer. So feel free to take advantage of that if that resonates. And then also I want to say, during the upcoming retrograde phases, it may be advisable for us to keep the focus more on ourselves and check in frequently with our inner compass. Because retrograde means accessing the energy from the inside out. And so we're also get a chance to see what works, what doesn't work in certain areas of our lives, right? And so we can take stock and look to see what needs to do over or what needs reassessment in some way, right? And in that webinar, we will talk about how that applies to each of one of our own personal charts, right? Now, last but not least, I want to mention Chiron, because Chiron is in 29 degrees of Pisces, which is the last degree of its sign. And so it is about to move and switch signs into Aries, also in April, on April 17th, on the same day as Saturn goes retrograde. And so Chiron, in the last degree of its sign, is exalted at this time as well, because the last degree has sort of like this sense of like the last hurrah of that sign, right? And so we're needing to take a look at like what end is approaching that we have worked with for the last 7 years or 8 years while Chiron was in Pisces, right? So think back over the last 7 to 8 years and ask yourself, what have I learned about my relationship to my higher self, to intuition, right? Because Pisces is very much about our intuitive body. What have I learned about the emotional body, right? And about the energetic body? And what do I know about my inner healing process that I didn't know before 2011? Okay, so this is kind of questions you can ask yourself as Chiron is in this last degree. Chiron will move into Aries, like I said, on April 17th. And we will go over this upcoming shift in more detail in our next forecasting forum, right? So if you want to know how Chiron's journey through Aries and also Uranus's journey through Taurus, which we'll also cover in that forum, will impact you personally, then feel free to join us. We'll apply what's coming up to our own birth charts. The next forum will be live on April 30th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is New York time, 8 p.m. London time. And of course, the special offer that I already mentioned, if you sign up before April 17th, you'll get the most recent forum as well for free. All right, so 2 for 1. All right, now as a reminder, just if you're a star or superstar member, you will be automatically signed up for the forums, and you will receive a link via email to join the live webinar, and also for the video presentation, you will receive a link via email. So if you watch out for those emails and check your junk mail if you didn't receive these emails in your inbox, okay, because they're definitely being sent out. Now, let's turn our attention back to this new moon. We're getting a helping hand to go beyond the familiar with this new moon because of the Aryan energy. And so it's all about going beyond what's comfortable, going beyond what's customary. And here's some questions you can ask yourself for these next 2 to 4 weeks, right? What is my vision? What is my vision for the future? And what do I want to create now? And what needs to change to make that happen? And the highest expression of Aries is the expression to lead others, right? It's to be the example, to be the inspiration when we're leading others. And so therefore, people will follow us because they see our courage, they see our enthusiasm for life, and they want to be a part of it, right? So being the example is the best way to be a leader. Now ask yourself, what if I dared to lead responsibly and with integrity? And this is where the Capricorn energy comes in with Mars and Capricorn, right? And what if I were the one who inspired others and makes a difference? What is the smallest difference I could make? And what is the largest? And so remember, making a difference doesn't mean that we have to do something humongous. It can be little things. Little things can make a huge difference. So do your best, to tap into the very core of your being, your vision, your purpose. And don't be fooled. It is an essential part of the collective journey when we do that. When you're being an agent of change, you are being the person who creates that ripple effect and who creates that making a difference for the collective. Have the courage to step up and step out as best as you can. There's a quote from a great Jewish scholar from a long, long, long time ago. If not you, then who? And if not now, when? And I think that really encompasses our times that we live in, because we can no longer look to the outside world for, that authority and that place of like, do this and then life will work really well. No, we really have to figure it out on our own right now. We need to be the ones to step up and say, this is what works. This is what we want to create. Now, to sum it up for this new moon, as best as you can, commit to something larger than yourself. Listen to your inner voice and bring your passionate self to the world. Remember that each of us makes this journey in their own way, in their own time. So definitely focus on yourself, your path, your truth, rather than on what lies beyond your control. Because we do not have control over anything but what we decide to do ourselves, right? Our own responses we have control over, our own actions we have control over, how we deal with things we have control over, but we do not have much control over anything else. Even though we might think we do, we really don't. Now, the other thing I want to mention is, of course, first sign in the zodiac is also time of spring, and spring has already started or has supposed to start already. I can't really see it here where I live, but I'm hopeful that it is coming up with this new moon now. So spring is an excellent time to do a cleanse on all levels, of course, right? So ask yourself, what changes have already been in the back of my mind for months now that I've been wanting to shift with or cleanse in my life? And what first steps look inviting right now for me to take, right? Now that there's this energy of spring coming up. Now remember, the ultimate goal for this new moon is to tap into our inner warrior, a mature warrior that generates and protects rather than the shadow warrior who exploits and destroys. And also a warrior that is courageous rather than competitive, a warrior that is assertive rather than aggressive. And, you know, if you do have an ascendant or any personal planets in 24 to 28 degrees of Aries, Libra, Capricorn, or Cancer, then this new moon is definitely going to have a stronger impact on you, right, for the next 28 days. But even if you don't have personal planets in those degrees and signs, take a look at the house placement in your birth chart that is affected by this new moon. That's equally as important. And, you know, just look to see what area of your life needs your attention for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Look at where is 26 degrees of Aries, right? Where does that land in your birth chart? And what does that house or area of life represent? And where are you invited to try something new? Maybe to plant a new seed or to step up in some way. If you don't have a birth chart yet, or if you don't know what to do with your birth chart in that regard, how to look this up, feel free to watch my video, How to Read Your Birth Chart. This is a video that you can watch on my website or on YouTube. On my website, if you go to the home page and look for free class, if you scroll down towards the end of the home page, and then just click on the link that says free class, you can watch it there. And also towards the end of that video, I will talk about how to get a visual of your birth chart online for free. And you will also learn how to apply what I share in my videos and my weekly forecast to your own birth chart. So it's a fantastic video to watch if you haven't seen it yet. It's also a great video to watch before you join the monthly forecasting forum. And if you've been thinking about doing that, I want to definitely encourage you to watch that video first. Now, to access the forums each month, you can either sign up for memberships. The Star and Superstar membership gives you a free access to the monthly forecasting forums each month. Or if you just want to watch one monthly forecasting forum, you can register at astrologercoach.com. On the homepage, if you scroll down, there's like a countdown and you can register there. And if you want to ask questions in advance for the forums, which is especially valuable if you can't join live, if you're not available for the live forum, and if you want to just get the video presentation, right? If you want to ask questions in advance, please also fill out the form that will get emailed to you after you register for the forum. And again, if you have we have a special offer, right? So just keep that in mind that you can get 2 for 1 right now. And if you're already a Star or Superstar member and you would like to ask a question in advance, you can add the forum to your cart via the membership portal, which will trigger an email to you, and so you can then ask your question via that email. There's a link in there. But if you don't have a question in advance, you will receive automatically access to the forum via email in your inbox. Okay, so check your emails so you can get access to the forum. And if you are a universal member right now and you would like to join the forums more frequently, please know that you can switch to any of the other membership levels at any point via your online membership portal, right? So you just sign into my account, and then once you're in your account, there's all these tabs, and one of these tabs gives you the ability, where it says subscriptions, it gives you the ability to switch memberships right there. So pretty much everything can be done via that online portal, right? Via that membership portal. Now, if you ask questions in advance or if you ask questions during the forum, I want to just make sure that you are aware. We want to make sure that everybody gets something out of this as well. So I want to invite people to ask questions about what we cover in the webinar. So basically for this webinar that's coming up, ask questions about the movement for Chiron into Aries for the next 7 years and Uranus into Taurus for the next 7 years. How is that impacting you personally in your birth chart? Like, ask questions about that, right? Now, the moment some of us have been waiting for is the new moon intentions, right? So we'll be talking about new moon intentions now, the best and most potent time to set these intentions for this new moon cycle. And again, of course, this process is especially powerful because we're dealing with the new moon in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac and is all about beginnings. So intentions are best done soon after the new moon becomes exact, and definitely not during a moon void, of course, phase. So this month, the two periods, the great times to set intentions would be first, there's roughly 4 hours right after the new moon becomes exact, from 9:57 p.m. on April 15th until 1:59 a.m. on April 16th. And that is, of course, New York time. And if you aren't able to set intentions during those 4 hours, then wait a few hours and then start setting intentions at 4:58 a.m. on April 16th until 6:05 p.m. on April 17th. And all of this is US Eastern Coast time, New York time. If you live in a different time zone other than US Eastern Coast time, feel free to join my Facebook fan page or my Twitter page. Because I'll be posting throughout the best and most potent times to set your intentions on my Facebook fan page and on my Twitter page. And so there will be several reminders between April 15th and April 17th. And once you see those reminders, just sit down and write down your intentions in those moments. And for more information about setting new moon intentions, feel free to either go to my Facebook fan page from your computer and check the notes sections that can unfortunately only be accessed via the computer, not via our iPhones or tablets. Or you can also go to my website, go to my blog page, and then look for astrology articles. Once you're on that page that has the astrological articles on there, you can look for the new moon intention setting article right there, right? And I also have a couple of bonus questions that you can ask yourself with setting your intentions that are available via my weekly forecasts. Okay, so make sure you look at those. And again, all of the questions from this video are also available for everyone who is a member of my online community via the website, astrologercoach.com, via your membership portal. If you go to my account and then click on my content, you can get all of this through your My Content tab, right, inside the membership portal. You can also access it via the blog page as well, as long as you already signed into your My Account membership page, right? Now, if you want to have access to the questions or to my weekly forecasts and you're not a member currently, join me now. This is still available for a very, very low fee. And I'm not sure exactly for how much longer it will be available, so feel free to take advantage of it right now. And if you don't want to be a member, but you want to receive the new moon videos via email or some of the announcements that I make about my business or special offers that I have, feel free to sign up for the monthly forecast for my newsletter. You can just send us an email at info@astrologercoach.com and just write newsletter in the subject line. Or you can also sign up on my homepage on my website for the newsletter. Okay? All right, that's it. All of that is all about the new moon. If you have any general questions for me, I'm happy to answer general questions via email. If it's a personal question that requires of me to take a look at your birth chart, I will ask you to book a reading with me. This is only to honor my time and also make sure to answer your question fully and completely. And if you have questions that can be answered during the monthly forecasting forums that are connected to what we're talking about in the next 30 days, feel free to join us there and ask your question in advance or during the forum when we're connecting with each other. All right, so have a good one. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. All right.